Even if you live aboard full-time, don't assume your critical gear works. You've got to make sure. Hi there, I'm Carolyn Sherlock, and on this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, I'll share the importance of regular safety checks and give you a list of items to test before they don't work just when you need them most. First, though, today's episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Teak Guard from Allguard Products. Looking to refinish your boat's teak with a minimum of mess and fuss? Look no further. Their non-toxic, water-based formulas for cleaning and finishing will turn your teak from dingy to sparkling in no time. It's what I used on Barefoot Gal, and I absolutely love it. Use coupon code BG20 for 15% off your order of $50 or more. AllGuardProducts.com. Admire your teak, not maintain it. Back in 2018, I got an email from a reader, his name is Peter Stewart, that made me really stop and take notice. With his permission, I'm passing it along. Anyways, he said, "Hi, Carolyn. I've owned my sailboat now for 4 years, and I'm very diligent with safety and going through a checklist before departing on a cruise. One of the checks is to ensure that each of the 2 bilge pumps, high and low-level pumps, are operational, and they have been. Although I use the pumps in the fall to circulate the good antifreeze through the bilge hoses and therefore know that they work, not once during this past summer season or previous boating seasons have I ever verified that they actually pump water on an ongoing basis. I've just listened to see if they came on. Well, guess what? This fall, I checked the larger high-level pump and found that the diaphragms were shot so that it would not pump water. It could very well have been like that all summer when I might have needed it. It was no consolation that the alarm still worked when operated. So now it's in my checklist to verify that both bilge pumps move water when they should." Hey, Peter, that is a great point. It is so easy to fall into the trap of assuming that everything works, or to check one part of a system and not another. Yeah, your bilge pump was coming on, but it wasn't pumping. And when I followed up with Peter to ask permission to use his note, he replied, of course I was welcome to use it, and he said, "I felt it was important enough to bring it up as an example that we can easily fall under false assumptions that we're protected by the various safety systems on our boats, unless they are verified." Yes, false assumptions. Now, I've written before about discovering that, say, our life sling had been incorrectly installed by previous owners on our boat. Had there been a real crew overboard situation, the problem could have had tragic consequences. So now, a few of the systems to verify as part of your pre-trip checklist. Bilge pumps are working. Not just that you hear them running, but look overboard and make sure they're pumping. Dump a bucket of water in the bilge if necessary to ascertain that they really are pumping. Make sure that the manual bilge pump works. Make sure all crew overboard gear works and can be used as intended. Nothing is stuck open or shut, lines are in good shape, tied on, etc. Make sure your communication gear works. Your VHF, a satellite phone if you have one, a single sideband, ham radio, inReach, Spot, Iridium Go, whatever you have, make sure it works. A radar if you have one, AIS if you have one. Your primary and backup electronic charting, your engine, your navigation and anchoring lights, your windlass and all ground tackle, including having snubbers that aren't chafed partway through. Your jack lines, tethers, and PFDs are in good condition. Make sure that the quick release on your tether works and the lights on your PFDs work. Do your PFDs, throwables, crew overboard poles, and so on actually float? Once upon a time, we discovered that our throwable didn't, so it's a serious question. Check the battery on your EPIRB. Make sure that any personal locator beacons work if you have them. Check the status of all your fire extinguishers. Turn them upside down and tap them to make sure the chemicals are loose inside. Check out your in case of holing gear. Know where it is and be able to access it in seconds. This is critical. Check your ditch bag contents and make sure that the bag is easily accessible. Make sure all your seacocks work and that they can be closed. Also, check your first aid gear and know where it is. This is especially true if you have more than one container. And make sure that your life raft is in an accessible location. If you use your boat seasonally, be sure to check everything at the beginning of the year and periodically during the season, particularly a few days before leaving on a trip. If you find a problem, it's best to have a little bit of time to fix it before you're planning to leave. Even if you're full-time cruisers, don't assume that all of your safety gear continually works simply because you're always on the boat. Make it part of your monthly checklist to go over everything and double-check items before heading off on anything more than a day sail. Thanks for listening to the Boat Galley Podcast. Make sure you never miss an episode to get all of my best advice and suggestions. Subscribe today in your favorite podcast app.